Hello everyone and welcome. My name is SlamFox and today I want to help you guys out with part 3 of the Nightwave Glassmaker. These crime scenes are notoriously hard in my opinion just because they put things in small little corners. So I just want to give you guys a walkthrough of the spots for me and maybe it can help you guys out, and I want to tell you guys what is important and what you need to remember for the final piece. I'm assuming that by the time you get to this, you've already done the first two and you have a good idea of how these crime scenes are working. You find 5 pieces of evidence and then you click on the main guy and you start up a little jumping sequence. It is your job to remember all 5 of the pieces of evidence, so maybe grab a notepad right now if you're a little shaky on the evidence and you can write down what's important. Starting this week, the Nightwave Glassmaker locations for each of the evidences have been randomized. Unfortunately, this means that my locations are going to be different than your locations, but for the most part, a lot of the locations are the same. So we're going to start off by clicking on the main guy, and that'll allow you to find the 5 pieces of evidence. Usually there's one right here. This piece of evidence is a tech communication. For this piece of evidence, it's going to be one of 3 different odd-shaped pieces. So just remember whatever your odd-shaped piece is. I usually find another piece of evidence on the shelf right here. The floof that you find is the different type of floof will be the evidence. So some people will get a Cooperdon, some people get some of the other types of floof. So just keep in mind on what kind of floof it is, like what animal it is, and that will be one of the clues that you need. After grabbing this one, I put it down and I turn around to go look at the bed. I look on the shelves here and there. There are usually some things on the table. This one's a little bit hard to see in the bed, but one of them is going to be a gun. You have 3 different kinds of gun, so just remember what type of gun you get. So right now we're 3 out of 5, and what you need to remember is like a small piece of tech equipment, your floof, and what kind of gun you're going to need. Some of the other things are a little bit harder to find. Occasionally there will be one on the floor right in here. I didn't find any in here for me. Sometimes I didn't think there was going to be anything above like high visual points, so I wouldn't even bother looking up. I don't think that there's anything right around here. I think that this is just a ship, so you can usually leave that part alone. Straight ahead to the right, there was a little cabinet. In this cabinet, there is usually a piece of evidence. I don't have one on mine, but for most people, there is going to be a piece of evidence inside that cabinet. All of the little hackable consoles, usually there is no evidence on the hackable consoles. So if you see the hackable consoles, just don't worry about them. I think there's not usually evidence pieces on the hackable consoles. Most people can find 1, 2, or 3 pieces of evidence pretty quickly, and then they're going to turn to a guide. In this case scenario, I wouldn't really turn to a guide. I'd just keep in mind, look on top of shelves, look on top of items, and look at the floor. I had a lot of trouble finding my last piece of evidence because it was just on the floor. Usually there's going to be one piece of evidence somewhere on a shelf-like location in between these 2 consoles. Don't worry about that one. Don't worry about these barrels. I haven't found anything on the barrels. Right now I'm standing on my 4th piece of evidence, but I didn't see it. I just walked right over it. But as I head to this second console, there's another piece of evidence just sitting on the shelf there to the right. This one is going to be a faction. So make sure you keep track of the faction. So right now the 4 that we've got going are faction, floof, gun, and a small piece of tech equipment that you have to remember. I cut the video here because it took me like 10 minutes to find this last piece. It was just so hard to find for me. It was dumb. It was right on the floor. I just thought it was a light the whole time. So the last thing you're going to get is a little note, and inside the note there is a single highlighted word. It is the Grenier feelings, and that single highlighted word is the final piece of evidence that you need. So after that one, I'm just going to run through again real quick, show my final 4. So I had one on this shelf. So starting from there, I had one on the shelf. I had one on the ground right here. And this one's about the feelings. So what you need to remember is faction, a single word that will be highlighted in the feelings one. You will have your own unique floof type from one of three, so remember what kind of animal, and just take a look at the shape. Almost all of this week's Nightwave crime scene evidences are based on shape, so just keep in mind the shape. So we got a viper, and we have my burned out tech communication, but that piece is just going to be an unusual shape, and all of them are different colors, so it's pretty easy to distinguish. For a walkthrough on the jumping section, it's mostly text, but what you want to do is just stand still, wait for all of the shapes to appear. You don't know which shape is going to appear in what order, so just keep the 5 things in your mind. This is the tech equipment, so I go to my tech equipment. Don't go to this one, go to the one that is yours. This is the marked word, so the marked word for me was kill. Right here is the floof. You have a mouse floof, and then over to the left I have my Cooperdon floof, so I go into that one. This one is the faction symbol. I had new loco for my faction symbol, so I'm going to come over here to the new loco faction. And then the final one over here is the gun. You have the Atmos, the Kraken, and the Viper, so I come over to the Viper gun, and then you just click on the stone, and that's pretty much it. So if you're having any trouble with this, just stay calm, try to use your eyes, look on the floor. I don't think any of them are above waist level, so try to keep it waist level and below. And that's it. Have a good one. If you guys found any help from this, just leave me a like, hit subscribe. I'm making videos every week, and some of them are slightly popular, most of them are not very popular, but I am gaining a lot more watch time than I am gaining subscribers. I don't want to force anybody to subscribe, obviously, it's your choice, but it does help me a little bit, so thank you for that if you do. I hope everyone's enjoying this week's Nightwave, and have a good week.
That's the pattern. Nihil's a judge, working to a long day, a shred of instead of a person. Every society has its misfits. You compass, next level. Some go their whole lives and never do. Respect. You're close. Each time Nihil glasses, he reveals. We just gotta get ahead of him.